What up, all my fellow crafty peeps? Hi, my name is Judy, and if you haven't been to my channel before, I do sewing DIYs and sewing tutorials and sew pretty much whatever I feel like making that week. For this week's project, I decided to make some pencil pouches because I'm about to go to work in the next couple of weeks because I'm a teacher. I need something to carry all my pencils in. So if you want to learn how to make this super cute pencil pouch, carry all your stuff in it, make sure you stick around and let's get started. To make your zipper pouch, first you need 2 outer pieces that measure 9.5 by 5 inches, 2 lining pieces of the same dimension, 2 pieces of the outer fabric that measure 2 by 3 inches, a 7-inch long zipper, and then some interfacing of the same dimensions as your outer and inner pieces if you want it to be a little sturdier. Before I started sewing anything, the first thing I did is that I fused my interfacing to the outsides or the wrong sides of my outer pieces of fabric, so that way when I'm done sewing it all, it'll have some shape and be a little bit sturdy. And here are the fabric pieces with the interfacing on it. I love this fabric. I think it's super cute, and that's why I wanted to make a cute little pencil pouch out of it. Now take your 2 by 3 inch pieces, fold them in half lengthwise and iron them flat, then unfold them, fold down the 2-inch sides 1/4 inch, iron it, and then fold it back up again. Take one of your folded pieces and tuck it over one of the ends of the zipper stop and pin it in place. Now you're going to sew 1/8 inch away from the edge of that fabric, and you can sew right across the zipper as long as it's not a metal zipper. And here's me messing it up, so I'm seam ripping it, and I'm going to go back and sew over it. And you'll do the same thing for the other zipper stop, pin that fabric on, sew 1/8 inch away from the edge. Just make sure that you pull the zipper halfway down, it'll make it easier to sew it on there. And then once you've done that, you want to trim the excess fabric away from your zipper. Alright, to assemble your pouch, you're going to start with your lining fabric right side up, place your zipper on top of that with the edge of it, line up the fabric, and then place your outer fabric right side down on top of it and pin it all together. And then make sure you switch to your zipper presser foot before you sew a zipper on. To start sewing, you're going to want to sew along this edge at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and make sure you go slowly so that way you don't accidentally sew the zipper. When you get halfway through, make sure you shimmy your zipper around and move it out of the way so that way you can sew all the way down to the end. And then you want to press it nice and flat before you continue. I did forget a step here. Make sure after you do this and press it flat that you sew 1/8 inch away from the zipper down the side. So now to get to the other side, you're going to lay your lining piece face up again, lay your sewn piece that you just did on top of that, and then lay the other outer piece face down, pin it all together, make sure the zipper is lined up with the edge before you start sewing. And like you did before, make sure you sew at a 1/2 inch seam allowance, go slowly, and then halfway through shimmy your zipper out of the way so you can continue down to the end. And then press it nice and flat again with your iron on both sides. And as you can see, I'm making 2 here. And once again, here's where I forgot to sew 1/8 inch away from my zipper to make it all nice and flat. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to match your outer edges together and your inner pieces together and pin along all the sides. Make sure though when you're pinning, make a mark on the lining side about 4 inches that you're not going to sew on yet. Also, before you start sewing, make sure your zipper is unzipped, okay? Then you're going to sew along all 4 edges at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, except for that section on the lining side that you're going to leave unsewed so you can turn it right side out when you're done. And of course, I didn't record myself turning it right side out. I fail. But once you're done with that, you can pull the lining section out, iron it flat a little bit, fold under the edges 1/4 inch, and then sew it down so that way it is closed. And because nobody else sees the seam, it'll be in your little pouch. And here are my finished pencil pouches. They are so cute. I love them. So hopefully this tutorial has inspired you to go out and make one of your own pencil pouches. I did link the tutorial that I followed in the description box so you can look at that too if anything was unclear in my video. But please make sure that you like and subscribe and come back next week to see what I make next. Bye!